Oh my gosh, this trolling, this is epic, folks. Buckle up, Trump is at it today, big time. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Welcome to the program, The What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law, the only law firm to trust for your personal injury case. The demolition of the White House, the East Wing, is dominating the news. I talked about it yesterday. I wasn't sure what the scope was. Yesterday, they'd only demolished the front part of the vestibule. Today, it seems the entire East Wing is, in fact, gone. Now, the people are freaking out about this. And Trump, for his part, is, can we just say the Democrats were eager, as of last week, to stick to the shutdown message. It was supposed to be wall-to-wall coverage of the government shutdown. The Democrats were supposed to capitalize on the shutdown, get public opinion against Senate and congressional Republicans, and in so doing, exert maximum pressure, against the Republican caucus to get concessions from them. Nobody's even talking about the shutdown now. We're just talking about the East Wing. So, now I had an idea. I had a thought about this because I always think beyond the headline, Robbie. I think we're getting trolled. Not just because Trump is taking all this in stride and seems to not care one iota about the public pushback, at least from Democrats, but because now that I see that this is a complete revision of the building, it leads me to a belief that it's more than just the ballroom. A lot of people don't realize this, but the East Wing stands above the PIOC. This is the bunker that the president uses. It's also called the Situation Room. They go down there in times of crisis or in the event of an attack. You remember Dick Cheney famously being taken to the PIOC on September 11th. It is a command and control center, but also quarters for our government, the executive branch, to be able to continue in the event of an attack on the homeland. I think it's logical to me if you're going to... Trump has said a number of times that the building's going to be bomb-proof. He's consulted with the military. These little offhand comments. I'm starting to be convinced that this was something that had been recommended by the military brass and the U.S. Secret Service for some time and simply, sloughed off by previous administrations who feared they'd get blowback for it. You can't go and tell people, you know what, we got to improve the bunker because it's where the president's at, and, we're going to make all these improvements to it, because you don't tell your enemies this, right? You don't publicly broadcast this stuff. So this is the same way. There's a news story today. And Republicans have dug it up, and it's cute because, of course, it's a big price tag. Obama, when he came to office, did a $350, I think that was the price tag of it, a huge redo on the White House. They dug up everything around the White House, ostensibly to replace pipes. That's what they said. It was water and sewage. Now, if you ever built anything, I don't care how big the White House is or isn't. It's actually, as a residence, not that big. The offices also not that big. Square footage wise, there's no way that pipes, sewage, water, even if it's some electrical, costs $350 million. That's another one of those things that people just accept, that they just take the number. Oh yeah, 350. Of course, it's the White House. Of course, it's going to be expensive. No, that had something to do with security improvements as well, and it makes sense, right? Everybody knows where the White House is. Everybody can pinpoint more or less within a few feet where the president sleeps. It's a target, right? So there's something going on here. That's all I'm getting at. There's something beyond the headline. And Trump, being the master troll, is taking advantage of it and playing with it and having fun. Tell you what else he did. I just pulled this up. I had to verify this. Someone sent this to me, and I actually had to look it up to make sure it was real, because as Trump is tearing down the East Wing, he is putting up on the presidential website, on the White House official website, additions to the timeline. I have it right here. Well, let me bring it up. So, it goes from the tennis pavilion to 2023. The headline, cocaine discovered. And it says, during Biden's administration, a U.S. Secret Service agent discovered a small zippered plastic bag containing cocaine in the West Wing entrance lobby. Then goes on to say, speculation has pointed to Hunter Biden, an admitted drug user. I saw this, I almost died. There's got a picture. There's a picture literally of Hunter Biden in the bathtub. It's that one where he's passed out, he's naked, and he's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. And then the next one is 2023-2024 Trans Day of Visibility, shows Joe Biden taking a picture with a trans person, a guy with, this is the guy that bared his breasts. You know, this was a big scandal where he took his shirt off and out on the White House lawn. So this we don't deserve him, folks. This is so good. Meanwhile, establishment politicos are getting the vapors over this, and it's designed to exhaust them. Imagine you are a liberal commentator, you're a Democrat, you're a mainstream media hack. Your job is to hold the Trump administration accountable, right? That's your mantra. You go to work every day. So I'm going to hold Trump responsible. And Trump just keeps throwing crazy stuff out there, and you're forced to react to all of it. Trump's just sitting, he's like the guy that just sits in his chair, points the laser pointer, and then the cat goes crazy, flying all over the room. That's what we're dealing with here, folks. And I think it's sucking up all the oxygen out of the room. I think that at the end of the day, we're going to discover, when history is written about this, that this was something that had to be done for the sake of national security. Trump, trolled everybody with this ballroom. He'll build a beautiful ballroom, no question about it. And I have to take you through it, because it was even one of these news babes tried to go on there and ask a historian, somebody who understands the East Wing and first ladies and various offices there in the building, and try to get her on record to condemn this, and she wouldn't. Successive administrations have said we've needed this upgrade. Plus, when you take in the national security element to it, I'll just put it this way. They were holding big events in tents on White House grounds. They were using tents. You think it's a good idea for the President of the United States and other world leaders to gather for major events that are publicized in a tent outside on the White House lawn? I know the airspace is secure, but still does not seem like a wise national security move. So there it is. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXNT, the What's Right Show, brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law. Back in a moment, folks.
I'm the best.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time.
The best.
Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam & Ash, the new standard for personal injury law, where things are done the right way, because you deserve a team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. Sam & Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
House Minority Leader Jeffries in full panic mode that the messaging train is running out, getting lost in all this talk about the White House. Listen, I got to play this clip. This was fascinating. Here's Hakeem this morning, MSNBC, talking about the White House renovations. And trust me, he does not actually want to be talking about this. He doesn't want to be doing it, but he's using it. Take it. Listen to what he says.
More likely, this is part of what Donald Trump has been doing since day one of his presidency, running the largest pay-to-play scheme in the history of the country, and probably soliciting donations from people who've got business before the United States government. And all of this is going to have to be investigated. It will. All of this will have to be uncovered. It will. And these people are going to be held accountable, no matter how long it takes. That's going to be the reality of the situation. And that's our warning to all of these people participating in this scheming to manipulate taxpayer dollars and, of course, to destroy the people's house. The White House belongs to the American people. It doesn't belong to Donald Trump.
Okay. First off, the largest pay-to-play scheme that I've ever witnessed is the Clinton Crime Family Foundation, the Clinton Global Initiative. I think that was well over $2 billion that Hillary Clinton collected from donors in the lead up to her run for the presidency while she was Secretary of State and the heir presumptive to the Obama, administration. So setting that aside for a minute, what's he threatening here? What's Hakeem Jeffries actually talking about? He goes, hey, you're going to donate to that ballroom. We're going to investigate you. You want to donate to America? We're going to come after you. That's what we Democrats do. And by the way, this is the other half of the sort of chatter that I'm hearing about this, because a lot of Democrats are saying that their litmus test for whoever wants to be the Democratic nominee has to be a promise that that candidate will tear down Trump's ballroom. And I'm laughing because I still maintain, now that I've given it some thought and I see the scope of the project, I maintain that there's a national security element to it, and a big one. That it's something that has been recommended by both the military and the U.S. Secret Service for some time, and that it basically is a matter of deferred maintenance. Either past administrations have not wanted to suffer the blowback that would come from this type of scale of project, and also perhaps not the inconvenience of it. A lot of presidents get to the White House and they like to have the place as it is and not be, inconvenienced the way Harry Truman was when the whole thing had to be gutted and rebuilt. So anyway, this is all silliness, right? Besides, I bet Trump now, having been taught by the Biden administration, is going to, along with the bragging rights of being able to say you contributed 10 million, 15 million, 20, whatever it is, to the construction of a new wing of the White House, you also will get a presidential pardon. He's going to have to wrap that in there if Hakeem keeps this up. Says, yeah, Jeff Bezos, you want to give a little money for the... Okay, perfect. You get a little pardon. That's very narrowly suited just for this particular donation, since the Democrats want to come after them. But trust me, the Democrats want to be talking about the shutdown. And we'll get to that in a little bit. And I saw some emails here about Cortez Masto and her no vote and what our governor is doing here in Nevada. I'll get to all of that. By the way, the situation here in Nevada is not dissimilar from other states. So I will kind of unpackage that a little bit later in the program. So everybody, by the way, every show right now on CNN and MSNBC, no matter what they're talking about, is showing the deconstruction, the demolition of the White House in the background of the East Wing. Here's I know you can't say this guy, John Meacham, and called this basically the, it's like akin to the American Revolution, a cause leading up to the American Revolution. People are nuts.
Do this with some sensitivity to the fact that you're not a king. You can't just do what you want to do when you want to do it. That's an adolescent response. That's actually not fair to adolescents, right? That's infantile. Just to do it because you can is in some ways a definition of why we had the American Revolution.
Okay. Do you think the timing of the teardown of the White House now, it's a coincidence? Yes or no? By the way, sam@whatsrightshow.com is my email. Feel free to shoot me a quick message. Because I'm going to be honest, there's a part of me that thinks that he timed this on purpose to follow the No Kings rally. They tell him he's not a king. Trump says, "Come on, I'm not a king. I'm a president. I'm a hardworking president." And then he rips down half the White House. It's not half the White House. It's the East Wing, and it's getting a new ballroom. Anyway, I just wonder if it's coincidental. Now, who was it? I mentioned this in the last segment. Jennifer Pickens, who is a White House expert, got called to CBS News primetime to give her opinion, and the host, clearly loaded for bear on this, asked her what her reaction was when she saw the plans. This is the exchange. I don't think this is what CBS intended to get from their guest.
When you heard about the plans for this new addition in the East Wing, what did you think?
I will be honest, I wasn't that surprised. I felt like, okay, it's finally happening. The size is interesting. I mean, the White House is truly on a human scale, which I love. It really reflects America and how we, our leaders live. The White House is the only home really that acts as a home, an office, and a museum that's open for tours, but it is on a human scale. So when you think about Buckingham Palace or Versailles, they're so much larger. But I do think it's something that many administrations have been talking about. I know for sure that the Clinton administration had really recommended to the Bush administration that they consider putting some sort of permanent pavilion up because they really learned to have the numbers of people that they wanted to entertain. They were constantly having to do tents on the lawn. And so I do think that's been something that has been talked about for a long time.
I mean, I don't think that they were expecting that answer that had been talked about for a long time. And again, it comes back to, I think one part of this is the functionality of it. The other thing is that they've told the president, I would be willing to put money on this, that the military folks sat the president down and said a direct strike on the presidential bunker beneath the East Wing might penetrate. What we need is a protective structure. And most importantly, we can't get you in there fast enough from the main building because the building could collapse and obstruct the entrance. There's something else going on here, folks. But Senator Josh Hawley had the best answer when he was accosted in the hallways of Congress, asked about this, and he turned it around on the libs.
What about just uprooting this is an iconic building?
Manu, I will just say this. I made this point yesterday, that I hear all of a sudden from my liberal friends that they're very concerned about our history. Really, these are the same people who tore down every statue they could get their hands on in the last 4 years. Christopher Columbus, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt. They didn't have any concern for history then. Now all of a sudden, they're like, the facade of the East Wing is iconic. Oh, give me a break. I mean, give me a break.
Precisely. It's exactly right. Oh, boy. Did you see the debate in New York City? We talked about this yesterday, and it just almost came to pass exactly as I described. We'll get to that as well, together with some national and local shutdown news. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. See you in a few minutes. Rarely wrong, always right. Sam Mirejovsky here, host of the What's Right program, Monday through Friday, here for your listening pleasure. Sam at what'srightshow.com is my email. At what'srightsam is my handle on X, formerly known as Twitter. So the shutdown, I just briefly need to tell you this. There's been another vote. The vote this time would have allowed for some temporary relief. And it, by the way, at this point, a previous yes vote converted to a no vote. That's the kind of the high level thing. Now, who is that yes vote turned to a no vote? Actually happens to be a senator from Nevada, Cortez Masto. So, well, they wanted to see about getting SNAP benefits paid and some of the federal workers paid. It would have been a temporary relief valve to obviously a great deal of pain that is coming. Now, something about these SNAP benefits here in Nevada, and most states operate this way, where there is an entity that handles these payment systems. So if you have SNAP benefits, you basically get an EBT card, right? You get like a debit card, and that gets funded at certain intervals. And there's going to be a funding lapse come certainly by the first week of November. So it's coming up. It's a week away. And there is, I can tell you this here in Nevada, a robust conversation about how to prevent people in Nevada not losing out on their benefits, particularly not in the month of November, which is, Thanksgiving. And I welcome input from whoever has it for me. I don't have an inside line into the governor's office here in Nevada. Sometimes I'm kind of confused by what it is that they actually do over there. And this is one of those cases because there is, I believe, about 30 million or so of rainy day funds available to cover for a month these benefits, possibly even longer. And I understand it that people have been trying to reach out to the governor and work out a way to get it done, and his staff have been stonewalling the effort. Now, why? I don't know. Is it just politics? Is it ineptitude? Is it the people who are running the governorship day to day? Because it certainly isn't Lombardo. I don't have answers for you. I like Lombardo. I'm certainly happy he's governor, not Sisolak. But I think there's a solution here in Nevada that could be achieved, and it may still get achieved. Okay. As far as the Democrats are concerned, if you're running for national office, this is what the Democrats at least keep saying, that they want the pain. They want the pain. They want to inflict damage. They want people to suddenly wake up to huge increases in their premiums. They want federal workers to go without pay. And they want people angry at Republicans, angry at Trump, want to whip everybody up into a frenzy. I think reasonable Democrats understand that this is not a good strategy. That if you get people really riled up to the point where they're not eating, that we have a real, major societal collapse type stuff that could happen. And again, the Democrats have tried mightily to pin this on Republicans, but the messaging so far is not sticking. So what I think, I don't know. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I try to give you folks always my best analysis, given what I know and the people I talk to. I believe that there will be a solution worked out here in Nevada. I think that's possible, it's doable, and the governor needs to get ahead of it. But that may very well happen with SNAP benefits across the country. It's not going to fix federal workers not getting paid. And at some point, right, this gets really wild. But here's what I think of. All of these senators, all these Democrats voting no, live in Washington, D.C., and everybody in D.C. either works for the government or is in some way dependent on the government, right? When's the last time you heard of somebody going to Washington, D.C. to open a tech startup? Like, that doesn't exist. People go to Washington if they're lawyers that support government, if they are, people who, whatever, even the IT people support companies that support the government. I mean, everything is dependent on federal money flowing. So I have to think, on some level, you have, people all live in the same neighborhoods. And there are these senators that are Democrats. All they have to do is vote yes for a continuing resolution, and everybody gets paid. They're going to feel a lot of pressure. And Republicans should say, hey, we wanted to pass a clean CR and get you guys paid a month ago. Don't look at me. It's much easier to break the party that is saying no than the party that's saying yes. There is a clean CR to vote on. It buys 7 weeks. Now, let's say about 3, maybe 4. Presumably, it could be extended. So, I don't know. I just think at some point it all boils over, and the boiling point is reached not necessarily here in Nevada, although we certainly will feel pain, or in Wyoming, or in Florida, or in Alabama, everywhere across the country. But in the District of Columbia, where even when I was out there, my Uber driver was telling me how he has been not as busy because when the government shuts down, all the activity around the government also shuts down. People aren't having meetings. People aren't traveling. People aren't coming, back and forth from the airport. So the Uber driver, his business was down 70%. I kept hearing that. Except for the No Kings, rally on Saturday, the streets were quiet. It was dead. People aren't going there. Tourists are canceling their trips to D.C., right? You get the drift. So the pressure point is going to come, from within the District of Columbia and the surrounding areas where the senators live, because they're going to have pissed off neighbors who are going to say, listen, I'm not going to pay my mortgage next month. So you go do whatever you're going to do. Yeah, stick it to Trump, whatever. I need my mortgage paid. And that's going to be awkward as all heck. And by the way, if I'm welcome a call from the email from the governor's office. You guys know where to find me. Explain to me what the hell you guys are doing. But what I'm hearing is there's a plan out there that's being put forward, and you guys aren't biting. So remember too, right? The funding gets resumed, and we get that money. Every state gets that money back. It gets paid back retroactively. So yeah, and Cortez Masto voting for this, Bruce, you're right. Voting for this, voting to reopen the government when there was no chance of it happening, knowing there weren't any votes, and now voting no on this limited, package that would get SNAP and some people paid, knowing that it could actually pass was a bad move, was not nice. Put it that way. But that's just par for the course. We have the worst representation here in Nevada. God, Cortez Masto and Rosen, this is the best we can do. This is what we've got. It's an embarrassment. Of course, look at California. It could always be worse. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Hi, welcome. What's Right show here. Sam Mirejovsky behind the What's Right microphone. Nevada's favorite recovering Californian. Speaking of California, my friends, yesterday an absolutely tragic crash on the freeway in California in the city of Ontario. This is on the I-10. The dash cam video from this is absolutely horrific. A 21-year-old illegal immigrant who had been caught and released by the Biden administration was driving drunk, actually high, under the influence of drugs is the allegation, and slammed without breaking into multiple vehicles, killing 3 people, including a high school coach and his wife. 4 others at least were injured. That caused a fire. It closed the freeway for 12 hours. His name is Jashanpreet Singh. He's an Indian here illegally. Guess what else we know? Singh, apparently, the defendant here, because of course this is going to be a criminal vehicular manslaughter case, and also going to be a number of very legitimate personal injury cases against his commercial coverage, hoping he has that, by the way. They found out that he was issued a driver's license. That's it. California gave him a CDL, a commercial driver's license. Guy's only 21. He's illegal. And this is why the feds are and must continue to investigate states that continue to license illegal immigrants. This is unacceptable. It's outrageous. People are dying. And is yet another example where sanctuary policies, the type that California propagates, are literally putting lives at danger. You know what they always say? They always tell you, and me, right? They tell us that if you criticize illegal immigration, if you throw a fit over it, that you're racist, that you're xenophobic, that you are intolerant. They turn it around like gaslighting, right? They turn it around on us, and we become the problem. And then something like this happens. You think that Governor Newsom has said anything about this? The answer is all quiet. It's crickets out there. Newsom did the other day sit down and do a little chat with Obama. The two of them, Newsom's insufferable podcast, so Obama didn't come in person the way Charlie Kirk did, but showed up on a feed, right, on a remote feed, like a Zoom link. And at one point, there was a maximum of 280 people watching live. A sitting governor who wants to be president, who supposedly is the party's leader. People talk about the presidency, talk about 2028 on the Democratic side. Gavin Newsom, his name I hear the most. You would think that together with a 2-term Democrat president, the most recent 2-term Democrat president, that the two of them could get together and get some people interested. When you've got less than 300 people watching, I get worried when it's a live program. So anyway, Newsom's all quiet about this, of course, and this ought to be career-ending for him. The illusions that he could become president of the United States with this on his conscience. I mean, he has blood on his hands. And every Democrat in California that supports this does too. And the worst of it is that these truck drivers, these drivers that are getting licensed, they're driving all around the country. None of us are immune from the bad policies that California has enacted. Oh, and Biden too, right? You guys understand in law, we call it but-for causation. That's exactly what it sounds like. Something wouldn't have happened but for X. And I would argue that we have two but for responsible parties. If I can explain it this way. On one hand, this man, Mr. Singh, would not have killed anyone yesterday in Ontario, but for being released into the country by the Biden administration, who deliberately opened the border, and when they did catch people, released them back into the country. And two, none of this would have happened but for California, under the leadership of Gavin Newsom, giving illegal immigrants driver's licenses. I mean, am I missing something? The roads are frightening. Any one of us on a visit down to Southern California could have been taking the 15 down, then over on the 10. This area is near the Ontario airport. I mean, this is a frequented stretch of highway. Any one of us could have been involved in this. Driving, following the speed limit, maintaining insurance, doing everything right. You and I are the suckers. I think this is how it is. To the Democrats, we're the suckers. We pay money in taxes. We follow the law. We don't cause problems. But the craziest thing, of course, is that the left, a new Democratic Party, views us as the enemy. And on some level, I'm almost convinced they're perfectly fine exterminating a few of us, all for the sake of their political power vis-a-vis this unchecked immigration, rolling out the red carpet for illegals the way that they have. They don't care if people die in the process. They don't care if property is damaged, lives are snuffed out, young children raped by these crazy people. We have no idea who they are. And when we say anything about it, we're bigoted, racist, fascists. And then they scream and yell when they get together about how we deserve a bullet in the neck like Charlie Kirk. These are not exaggerations. These are all things I share here. I did yesterday on this program. The anatomy of a liberal's mind and heart right now is actually what has me quite worried. Because these people are dark. Any normal, non-sociopathic person would see this accident happen and go, it's totally preventable. It's totally preventable. And by the way, I hear from them, but what? But you know what? You guys don't ban guns, so you guys shouldn't. You don't ban guns. You can ban guns tomorrow. There's still going to be hundreds of thousands, millions of firearms in the country. You're not going to make them disappear. But you can go around and you can close the border and ensure that not one more illegal immigrant enters the country, and you can go around and pick up the ones that are here. Because again, the person that takes risks to break the law to come here, the person that is getting away with breaking the law, the person that is living in the shadows, doesn't have a lot to lose. And we don't want to have a society where we are surrounded by people who have nothing to lose. That does a lot of bad things for social cohesion, I'll tell you that. But the left wants to erode that social cohesion. And I think this was my favorite part in the mayoral debate in New York yesterday, because, really it was a Mamdani versus Cuomo fight. But the Republican, who many are encouraging to leave the race, Curtis Sliwa, had a very strong, powerful line. And I'll share this with you here when we come back, because I want to give this some time. I mean, it had to do with crime. It is perplexing to me how the left is tolerant of crime. They're tolerant of illegal immigrants. They're tolerant of everything bad, of Antifa, of violence, of political violence. They allow it all. And then turn around and wag their finger, shouting, frothing at the mouth, pointing at you and I, the law-abiding, tax-paying citizens, screaming that we are the fascists. We are the threat from within. The level of mental illness in that very concept to me is just mind-blowing. All right, another hour of the What's Right show up next. Buckle up. You do not want to miss this. Making radio great again. Sam Mirejovsky here in the What's Right studios. Undisclosed location in Las Vegas, Nevada. Sorry, I'm just distracted. I got lost in the new White House historical major events timeline. Yes, I mentioned this last hour, gave you two little gems from this, but the Trump administration has revamped the official White House website. And they're going through the history of the White House. Now, by the way, there's a great picture in here before I get to the stuff that has me in stitches. There's a great photograph here of what the East Wing looked like before there wasn't an East Wing. So the photographs you're seeing today of the sort of the bare brick with a couple of hallway tunnels exposed that lead to the main building of the White House, the ground floor, that used to just be an elevated balcony with some pillars, and there was no East Wing. It wasn't there. It was Franklin Roosevelt who added it in 1934. And one thing that they note here is that it also created a bomb shelter was necessary during the war. Well, just an interesting point. Again, I maintain that this whole thing is cover to secure the PEOC, the presidential bunker that lies beneath the East Wing. But at any rate, moving forward through the timeline, here's where I'm just starting to get a case of the giggles. Takes you to the addition of the briefing room. 1970, President Nixon converted the swimming pool into the press briefing room, added a bowling alley. 1998, what do you think happened in 1998? Well, Robbie, you and I graduated high school. And what a way to come into the world. Did I say that? The Bill Clinton scandal. It's on the website. They put it on the White House website. President Bill Clinton's affair with intern Monica Lewinsky was exposed. Leading the White House perjury investigations. Talking about Ken Starr being named special counsel. Independent counsel back then. So here's another sentence. This is on the official website. The Oval Office trysts fueled impeachment for obstruction. Gets better. 2012. It has Obama, has an old picture of Obama in some tribal gear. I think it's a legitimate picture from him visiting Africa. Now, regardless, Muslim Brotherhood visit. Obama hosts members of the Muslim Brotherhood, a group that promotes Islamist extremism and has ties to Hamas. Doesn't Trump know you're not supposed to do this? The other side, of course, can call us fascists and Nazis, but we are not allowed to criticize them. Those are the rules. Yeah, if you didn't catch it last hour, there's a photograph on here of Hunter Biden passed out in the bathtub from his laptop cache of incriminating photographs, and 2023 cocaine discovered. Talks about the little plastic baggie containing cocaine. West Wing entrance lobby, it says. So they've kept that intact. Good. Speculation has pointed to Hunter Biden, an admitted drug user. Additional evidence includes a laptop seized in 2019, which contains photos of frequent drug use alongside emails about foreign business dealings. Okay. Can I tell you, too, what they're doing? The whitehouse.gov website has credibility with all of the bots. AI, Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo. So any search engine and any AI engine is looking at history and information, and they do look at these .gov addresses. So this isn't just a troll. Trump wants the real history of what's happened in this country politically to get out. So I don't want you to just dismiss this as childish tomfoolery. Okay, there's a purpose behind this. I'm again just telling you from an advertising perspective. Now, speaking of the Muslim Brotherhood visiting the White House in 2012, the Muslim Brotherhood most certainly will be occupying a portion of Gracie Mansion in the near future. What is Gracie Mansion? Well, it's not a royal palace. We're talking a lot about royal palaces of late. But Gracie Mansion is the official residence of His Honor, the Mayor of New York. Last night, New Yorkers held a debate. Now, I want to get to all of this in due course. I mentioned that Curtis Sliwa, the Republican who is tenaciously holding on in the fight, has delivered a great line that I will play for you after the break. But Cuomo, I thought, delivered some punches. Cuomo's not going to win this. I mean, it's just not. I know I don't trust polling, but I seem to trust, when it's 20 points apart. Particularly this close. I mean, if it tightens up before the race, you know that the pollsters are, got their finger on the scale. I don't think that that's the case here. This was a line, by the way. This is Democrat on Democrat violence. Remember, Cuomo lost in the primary to Mamdani. They ran against each other in the primary, and Mamdani is the Democratic nominee. Cuomo now is running as some sort of independent. So he talks about, and I'm thinking about this picture that's on the White House website of Obama with the Muslim Brotherhood. And he basically says, hey, you're cozying up to a person in Uganda who doesn't have a stellar gay rights record.
Then you take a picture with Rebecca Kadaga, Deputy Prime Minister of Uganda. You take a picture with your father. You're smiling. He's smiling. She's known as Rebecca Gay Killer Kadaga. You're a citizen of Uganda. You took the picture. You said you didn't know who she was. It turns out you did. How do you not renounce your citizenship or demand BDS against Uganda for imprisoning people who are gay just by their sexual orientation? Isn't that a basic violation of human rights? I think he gets the question.
I was worried, knowing Cuomo's, prolific sexual activities. I was worried he was going to say BDSM, Robbie. I was more than slightly concerned. BDS is the boycott, divest, and sanctions, divestment and sanctions, basically political pressure to isolate countries that are not in alignment with our values. This is okay, but people don't care. If it was, we Republicans care about facts and we care about ideology, but for the left, they think he's a nice guy. The leftists have heart. They view everything through the heart. Mamdani's got a great smile. They don't care about anything. This is over their heads. It's my take on it, at least. So I gotta take a quick break here. Cuomo tried to land some punches. Mamdani landed punches. It's Democrat on Democrat violence. And I think one of the most just unbelievable things that we're facing here, and I talked extensively about this yesterday, is that we are really this close from having the democratic socialist agenda break out into the mainstream of the Democratic Party. And it is the first step of what I call the 2025 American Communist Revolution taking place. Don't think I'm exaggerating, folks. This is deadly serious stuff. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone.
The Sam Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
Yeah, the Democrats going at each other hammer and tongs. Normally this would please me. But given that the radical libs are winning the fight, that the Democratic Socialists of America, via their new all-star shining smile candidate, Zohran Mamdani, is taking the lead, has me a bit worried. So the debate last night, mayoral debate in New York, three-way race now. I think the polymarket odds have Zohran Mamdani winning this at 99% or 98%, something very high, 90+%. And that's right, it's 6% Cuomo, 6-7% Cuomo, and 1% Sliwa. Now, people are saying the Republican should drop out of the race. Why should the Republican sacrifice himself for the sake of the Democratic Party being a giant mess? Let me put this another way. If we're talking about Mamdani, all right, why are we forced in New York, right? Why are voters forced to choose between, I guess, Cuomo, who probably killed one of your family members, and a socialist? I've said all along, this is a rotten deal all around. So, choosing between Mamdani and Cuomo. Sliwa, for his part, gave an impassioned argument about the laxity of punishment, talking about a near-death experience that his son suffered, an assault that let his attacker go free.
The architect of Raise the Age, Governor Cuomo, the apprentice to him, Zohran. It's personal for me. My oldest son, Anthony, last October was the victim of a vicious gang assault that could have killed him. And what happened to these juveniles? Cut free, because they went to family court, not criminal court. So how can both of you look at me? I almost lost my oldest son to gang violence, and the perpetrators went to family court and got a little pat on the wrist and was sent home to do it again and again. No. We need to start charging juveniles who commit violent crime in criminal court, and I'll appoint criminal court judges who follow the law and don't just release them because of no cash bail.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This has to be said. What, we're supposed to do away with the candidate that's telling the truth? Is that what we're supposed to do? We're supposed to sacrifice conservative common sense principles so that we can mop up a mess the Democrats have made of their own stupidity? Here is another attack by former Governor Cuomo. And, again, it didn't seem to really move the needle much in the polling or in the odds of winning. Talking about just kind of touting himself as a former governor and knowing how the system of government works, etc.
I understand my friend doesn't really understand government. The governor doesn't build housing in New York City.
Not if it's you.
No, legally, there are jurisdictions. The governor doesn't pick up trash. He doesn't run the fire department. That's what the mayor does. The mayor builds housing. The state allocates funding for localities. And I allocated more funding for housing than any governor in the history of the state of New York. All right? I did things. You have never had a job. You've never accomplished anything. There's no reason to believe you have any merit or qualification for 8.5 million lives. You don't know how to run a government. You don't know how to handle an emergency. And you've literally never proposed a bill on anything that you're not talking about in your campaign. You had the worst attendance record in the assembly, and you gave yourselves the highest raise in the United States of America. You went from $110,000 to $140,000, and then you never showed up for work, and you missed 80% of the votes. Shame on you. Shame on you.
You'd think that would be career-ending, right? You want to know why Mamdani wins this? Because he pulls this out, and, you know, Cuomo is a sicko, all right? Cuomo is a guy who, you know, seems to have harassed more than a few women. And then listen to Mamdani hit him on
Mr. Cuomo, in 2021, 13 different women who worked in your administration credibly accused you of sexual harassment. Since then, you have spent more than $20 million in taxpayer funds to defend yourself, all while describing these allegations as entirely political. You have even gone so far as to legally go after these women. One of those women, Charlotte Bennett, is here in the audience this evening. You sought to access her private gynecological records. She cannot speak up for herself because you lodged a defamation case against her. I, however, can speak. What do you say to the 13 women that you sexually harassed?
Oof. Now, listen, I'm going to give you the lawyer perspective here. Cuomo has every right to defend himself, and his lawyers are trying to disprove that any kind of rape ever occurred, and so it's fair game to look at those records. But Mamdani's quick on his feet, and this is what I keep getting at, folks. When we hear dismissive comments, we kind of giggle and laugh as conservatives about AOC. I see posts on social media. Who's dumber than AOC? Name something in this world more stupid than AOC. Mamdani, etc. And I get worried, folks, because these people are not stupid. Their ideas and their vision for the future of the United States of America is stupid. But they themselves are not mental midgets. They have ability. They have IQ and EQ. They're enormously charming and persuasive. Now, you and I are put off to them naturally because we see through them and we know they're fakes. We know they're phonies. We know that the stuff that they're saying is nonsense. We know it's directly contradicted in every history book that we've ever read. But our advantage, you and I, we've read those history books. Most of the people in this country have not. There's a lot of people out there that don't think with their heads. They feel with their hearts. We call those people Democrats. And they're very easily persuaded by things that are said nicely, sound good, make them feel good, and thus are persuasive. My simple point is, do not underestimate these people. You know, Bernie Sanders, almost finally sounds like he's got an entourage. Do you see this clip, Robbie? Yeah, put this here. This is great. Bernie Sanders asked, okay, so who's with you? Like, who's part of your group? Who's in your posse? Sanders forever has been talking about this alone. Now he's got a whole retinue of followers.
Yeah, I think she would, and I think other people would as well. So that's her decision to make, and got a lot of other great people out there. You got a lot of great young people right now in the Progressive Caucus in the House. Greg Azar in Texas doing a great job. Pramila Jayapal, Ilhan Omar. You got many of them. I mean, literally dozens. Young people, Maxwell Frost from Florida, people who have been elected as young people, prepared to fight for the working class. And that gives me a lot of optimism about our political future.
There it is. You thought it was all going to die with Bernie Sanders. As I call it, the communist revolution of 2025 is underway. Everything that Bernie's talked about all these years and just sat there on by himself, banging a podium and spitting into a microphone on the floor of the Senate is now coming to fruition. But at the same time, we're also blessed to have an enormous amount of common sense in the White House, and finally, Republicans who aren't afraid of their own shadow. To me, this could all get flushed out into the open. And we can win, right? The revolution doesn't mean it succeeds. It just means that it is attempted. It's underway. And how it ends, depends on us. And I, for one, with your help, intend to end it. Sam Mirejovsky, News Talk 840 KXNT. I'll see you on the other side of this break. Be right back. Well, yeah, this is hilarious, too. I forgot to mention this earlier, folks. The Democratic National Committee on their social media accounts ranting about the East Wing demolition inadvertently put up images of the East Wing of Buckingham Palace. Sam Mirejovsky here, behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. I am Nevada's favorite recovering Californian. Happy to do this. Sam at what'srightshow.com is my email. At What's Right Sam on X. Yeah, there's a East Wing in Buckingham Palace, and they used photographs of that room decrying Trump's damage to the East Wing at the White House. Speaking of X, I quickly wrote up that no one is safe from Trump, including Buckingham Palace. Watch out. Do not let him go back to England. He might come in with a backhoe. People have lost their minds. I'm also pleased that everybody seems to know where the East Wing is now. Remember at the start of all this, I had to explain where it was? Now, be honest. I mean, did you know where it was? A lot of people don't. It's okay, right? It's not something that you keep track of. Now, I posted this on X, but I'll share it with those of you who do not participate in social media here. Fun fact that many people in America don't know. Right now, today, on the news, there are all sorts of talking heads who keep saying stuff about Trump thinks he's a king, Trump's a king, he's a royal palace, the White House isn't a royal palace. Hey, you want to stump somebody at a cocktail party? Or at work tomorrow? Got an idea for you. Ask, especially if the royal palace nonsense comes up, ask them if there are any royal palaces in North America. That's the question. Are there any palaces in North America? And when I ask people this, they always respond. Typically, they'll say, Canada? Because, of course, Canada is part of the British Commonwealth. They have a king, right? So you'd presume that maybe he has some sort of a house that is a royal palace. That is not true. There is no royal palace in Canada. There are, however, 2 royal palaces in North America, one in the U.S. and one in Mexico. I guess the Mexico City one is easy, right? It's Castillo de Chapultepec, which is a Habsburg-built castle in the center of Mexico City. It's really beautiful if you have a chance to visit. Let's wait for Trump to clean up the cartels first, though. The other royal palace is the Iolani Palace. That's in the heart of Honolulu. Belonged to the Hawaiian kings, the royal family there. Of course, both are not royal palaces anymore or museums, but anyway, that's a little bit of trivia for you that I think is interesting. John Brennan, who has had his name submitted to the Department of Justice for possible criminal prosecution, is decrying the sad state of our country. I have to play this. This was last night on CNN. John Brennan went on TV and he actually cried about the fact he doesn't recognize America anymore. that people are out to destroy individuals like him. Where does he get off? Oh my gosh.
Well, when these things happen, I certainly get mad, I get angry. I also get sad that this is the state of our country and the state of our politics these days. The fact that, individuals like a Jim Jordan are going to go after somebody. I served nearly 3.5 decades in public service, a lot involved in counterterrorism in the aftermath of 9/11. They don't care about doing things like this to destroy individuals, to go after me, to hurt me and my family and others.
Yeah. They don't care if they destroy individuals, says the guy that kicked off basically through his so-called intelligence, fake intelligence, gotcha business, Operation Arctic Frost, seeking to entrap Donald Trump and those around him, embroil them in investigations, and dispose of the Trump presidency. This guy's a traitor. And he's sitting here, well, these are just the politics of personal destruction. Ha ha ha. Look at me, Mr. Brennan. Do I look like I care? Because I know, folks, I'm pretty certain none of you do. So he can cry more about this, but that's the general gist of what they're all saying. They're getting targeted. They're getting singled out for by an abusive king-like president, Donald J. Trump. So then Brennan goes, yeah, I hope Republicans rein this guy in. I'm holding out hope. Maybe it's not going to happen. Republicans are going to do something about it. This is laughable.
I'm hoping that the Republicans in Congress, I know it's a wish that I've had for quite a while, they're really going to draw the line. And when they look at what's happened against the White House, it's such a vivid depiction and symbolic of what's going on to this country. But the abuse of power, the desecration of the rule of law.
Yeah. The desecration of the rule of law. Why is it we don't even have to go back into the history of 2020 or the history of 2015, 16, 17 to question whether the Democratic Party believes in the rule of law. We don't even have to go back to what Brennan did. Look at this argument that is going on right now among Democrats, whether or not it's legitimate to murder extrajudicious, outside of the band of law, Republicans. All you have to do is call them a Nazi, call them a fascist, and it's a legitimate endeavor to eliminate those people. This is crazy. And okay, you'll say to me, well, Sam, these are people on the street. These are crazy people. I played the nice older lady, 65, 70 years old, who's celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. Oh, yeah, he was a Nazi. He's done. I mean, he killed Hitler. Like, I don't care. Do you want me to care about that? But here you have a member of Congress yesterday, 2 days ago, Yolanda Jones, calling the Trump presidency a street fight. She's from the hood, by her own admission, and she knows what to do and how to do it.
I'm from the hood, okay? So when a bully comes, if there are no rules, you literally have to figure it out. So Donald Trump has changed things, and people trying to do what's always been done is not going to work. And I think that's why Democrats are losing black people. That's why they're losing poor people, because poor people, all they want is for us to fight. So if you hit me in my face, I'm not going to punch you back in your face. I'm going to go across your neck, because we can go back and forth fighting in each other's faces. You've got to hit hard enough where they won't come back.
What does they won't come back mean? I guess Charlie Kirk's not coming back. They hit him hard on the neck, didn't they? She is an elected Democrat in the House of Representatives. Let that sink in. It's just wild stuff. You know what they intend to do? They intend to dehumanize the opposition, you and I, by calling us Nazis, by calling us fascists, legitimizing our destruction, and certainly legitimizing our removal from office, from politics, from public discourse. This is going on right now in Europe and places in Western Europe, Great Britain, Germany, for example. Opposition politicians, journalists, writers, thinkers getting raided by the police, arrested for the words that they write or the words that they say. So today there's a panel discussion. Abby Phillip and Representative Sarah Jacobs, a Democrat from California, together with Graham Plattner, discussing whether or not Nazis should be involved in U.S. politics. And by Nazis, I wonder who they mean.
Think he should be out?
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, look, I'm Jewish, so this is very personal to me. I've dealt with anti-Semitism my entire life, including by colleagues of ours in Congress. And I don't think ignorance is an excuse. Now, like, I am comfortable saying there should be no Nazis in the Democratic Party. The big tent is not that big. And I hope that my colleagues are comfortable saying that about the Republican Party as well.
Hold on, but you think he should leave the race?
Look, I don't know. The honest answer is I'm not in Maine.
Yeah, but I mean,
wouldn't vote for him.
This is about whether or not this is a disqualifying set of facts.
The idea that he even had something that could be remotely related to Nazism on his body for years, and claimed he didn't know what it was is horrific. Now, I also believe that people can grow and believe in second chances, and I look forward to hearing what he has to say to really atone and amend for this. And you know, I'm comfortable saying, like, we should not have Nazis in the Democratic Party. And if he's a Nazi, he should not be running.
We shouldn't have Nazis in any party.
I agree.
Oh, wait. They're not talking about us. They're talking about one of their own. And notice how nicely they're doing it. Graham Plattner is the Maine Senate Democratic primary nominee who is ahead of everyone in the polls. He's got 58%. This is wild. He could be the Democrat nominee from the state of Maine to go into the U.S. Senate. And yes, he's got a straight-up Nazi tattoo. An SS tattoo, not a cross like Hegseth has, but a honest-to-goodness Nazi tattoo. And the guy is trying to say, oh, I didn't know what it was. Oh. But now that I do, I'm having it covered up. And the same party that over the weekend was telling you and I that we're fascists and Nazis and that our president and all of us don't deserve to even share the same air as they do, are now going, well, I can't tell him to get out of the, I don't know. I mean, it's got actual, has Nazi, iconography on him, and he's perfectly good to go. Well, I don't feel comfortable, but a Jewish Democrat making excuses for him. It's really something to behold. Sam Mirejovsky here, News Talk 840 KXNT. This new crop of Democrats, though, even when they've got Nazi tattoos, at the end of the day, they're just communists. Sam Mirejovsky here, the What's Right show brought to you by Sam & Ash Injury Law. This guy running for Maine Senate, so he could be one of, if he wins the general election too, he could end up becoming one of the 100 senators in the U.S. I don't know about that. Not a good thing for the country. I guess in 2021, 4 years ago, Plattner deleted a post on Reddit responding to a thread about people saying they were getting more conservative with age, which is kind of a common phenomenon, or at least was until lately. Wrote that he got older and became a communist. This is There's another Reddit post. Plattner reflected on his life after military service, saying he was a vegetable-growing, psychedelics-taking socialist. Deleted another thread about police abuse, calling cops bastards. Cops are bastards, Plattner replied. All of them, in fact. Talking to CNN, Plattner wanted to assure voters, quote, I'm not a communist. I'm not a socialist. I own a small business. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I have a question. Do you just go from communist, socialist, avowed psychedelic-taking radical to within 3-4 years say, no, I'm a small business owner. Capitalism's just hunky-dory. And look who's, in 2020, he had an Antifa super soldier label on his armor, his body armor. And this was an Axios, right? This was covered in Axios. Post has been archived, but it's there. You can find it. Producer Robbie located it. Again, it's a bellwether of where the Democratic Party is going. They are becoming decidedly more radical. Now, I have this thought that keeps coming into my head, which is, how does this all work out, right? Why is it happening? I'm convinced that the Democratic Party is moving further left because it is a reaction to Donald Trump. I am convinced that Trump has absolutely broken people. It's not even Trump's doing necessarily. It's the media who got everybody riled up about Trump. And Trump wouldn't give it up. And then Trump won. He prevailed. He effectively not just survived, but overcame and succeeded in every battle that was before him. And so the traditional Democrats and all of their scheming and all of their sureness about how things would work out have been defeated. A lot of socialists in the past remember 2016, Hillary Clinton wasn't the preferred candidate of the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders was. We have to remember this. But Hillary Clinton won, and the Democrats rather condescendingly told their party faithful, listen, Hillary's your candidate. Here, deal with it. And you know why she's your candidate? Because Hillary's the candidate that's going to win, and she's the candidate that's going to get things done. You and your Bernie Sanders, you don't know how to run anything. That was what they told them. Literally, this is what the Democratic Party told its own voters that they screwed over and installed Hillary over Bernie on. So then what happened? Exactly the opposite. Hillary lost, Trump won, and the effort then to eradicate Trump via Joe Biden and basically the entire Democratic Party machine, but the establishment regime failed. And kind of like in a criminal organization, which the Democratic Party resembles strongly, your only currency is strength. Your only currency is success. Are you a successful gangster or not? And it turned out that the Democratic Party they were not a successful gang. They kept losing and they kept getting weaker. Trump has been, was, and is their kryptonite. And so what do we have here? Now the Democratic Socialists, the radicals are saying, well, enough of you. I don't want to even hear from Hillary Clinton and the party apparatchiks, the corporate Democrats. Now we're going to do this our way. We're going to do it our way. And there is this battle right now, and it's all because Trump prevailed, and it's all because he showed up. Trump showed up the Democratic Party as it was the DNC for a corrupt, loser, weak organization. The first stage of the great American Communist Revolution of 2025 is for the control over the Democratic Party, and it's well underway. I think it's happening. You're going to see Schumer on the way out, right? big casualty of this shutdown, mark my words. But then what happens? Again, New York City is New York City. New York City is not America. Do you see a universe where an AOC or a Zohran Mamdani wins over a J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio ticket? I mean, anything's possible, right? I don't want to just dismiss it out of hand, but I think about it and I just can't imagine. Not when I look at how this country is actually becoming more conservative. The Republican Party is actually moving to the center. And while the liberals and the Democrats have become rhetorically extreme, I think they're isolating themselves. They can win in New York. They can't, win over the heartland of America. Then we remove a few of these illegals and all the funny voting, IDs for illegals, etc., and that's also a game changer. All right, folks, be back tomorrow, Friday. The Mark Levin up next. I'll see you soon.